Hi, Book 2. Welcome to Jackie's Literary Corner, and it's time for us to talk about some Are You Afraid of the Dark episodes. So, the last one I did was The Tale of Locker 22 and The Tale of the Dream Machine. Now I'm going to talk about one that actually takes place during the Halloween season. So, I was kind of surprised when I looked up the episode to refresh my memory a little bit. I was surprised to find out that that particular episode, the first one I'm going to talk about, actually didn't come out. It actually came out in September when the show was on the air, which I was thinking it would be in October at least, but they aired in September. And that is The Twisted Claw. And then the next one I will talk about is The Tale of Train Magic, one of the more fantastical episodes with a little bit of a ghost story. It's probably more of one of the ghost story episodes then. Okay, so The Twisted Claw, like I said, takes place on Halloween mostly. So the first, actually no, there's only, some of it takes place on Halloween, then some of it takes place before and after Halloween. So still, I think it would have made more sense to air in October, but that's okay. So the Tale of the Twisted Claw is told by David, who was only on the show for seasons 1, 2, and possibly 3, I think, but then he leaves at some point in the actor leaves in season 3, I think. So yeah, like by season 4, I think they had changed up some of the actors for the actual Midnight Society people. But it starts out actually as like they're having trouble coming up with a story. And like it even starts with an interesting thing that it does that most other episodes have never done since, is it kind of starts with one of the members starting the story, leaving off of a scary cliffhanger, but never continuing. Like he doesn't know what happens next. And so David finally recalls a story. And his story is the tale of the Twisted Claw. So like I said, the first part of the episode takes place on what they call Mischief Night, the night before Halloween. So the 30th, I guess it'll be the 30th of October, because I believe Halloween is on the 31st. And you have Dougie and Kevin. They're these two boys. Kevin is kind of that friend who will get you in trouble, but you still love hanging out with him. And he and Dougie decide to play a prank on one of the elderly women who's rumored to be a witch. And they ring her doorbell and spray her with whipped cream or something, blinding her and causing her to knock down her vase. And Dougie, feeling bad, is freaking out, about this. He's worried they're gonna get caught, and of course Kevin's like, "Oh, she probably didn't even get a glimpse of her faces." So on Halloween night, they decide to go visit Miss Clove for some reason, because Kevin's all like, apparently she didn't see them, but then it turns out that Miss Clove didn't even fix the vase. So they get there, and turns out, and she is so pleased and so excited because no one's come to see her. She's so happy to see them and loves their costumes, and offers them a little gift. She gives them this little wooden vulture claw and says that they each get a series of wishes, but they have to be careful because if they wish something, they might just get it. So the first wish Dougie accidentally makes is he wishes this night was over because he's tired, he wants to go home, and he's freaking out about an old visit with Miss Clove. And not to end until the claw mysteriously glows green and slips out of Dougie's hand. And of course, Kevin doesn't see it and dismisses it. But then just as they're walking away, a group of older kids attacks them, start circling around them like vultures, and decides to steal their candy, forcing them to end their night early. So it's the next day at school, and Kevin still dismisses the whole thing, but he decides to make a wish anyway. He makes a wish to beat one of their classmates at this little run they do every year. This running competition they do every year. Wanting to be, because this one kid wins all the time, and he wants to win for once and wants to take this kid down. And the Claw does the same thing to Dougie, but he at that point just doesn't care. He's like, oh, okay, if it works, it works. That's awesome. I'll win this competition. And so Dougie is watching him race, and then a mysterious dog, I cannot remember what kind of dog it was. It was pretty scary. The dog was barking a really deep, rough bark, and comes charging out of nowhere and attacks the other kid, knocking him down, nipping at him, and Kevin wins and wins the medal and everything. But Dougie saw this mysterious incident, and he starts getting a little suspicious and wondering if there's a thing to this Claw, and that he is freaking out. He is panicking because he thinks something is really going on, that this Claw is really granting them wishes, and there are consequences to the wishes. And he's at home that night. He's freaking out, and he wants to tell his parents, who have gone out for the night, gone out to dinner. And he's panicking, and he wants to tell his parents. And Kevin's just getting annoyed, rolling his eyes, and as soon as he's like, no, you're not telling them, and you're not ruining this for me, and then he accidentally wishes, because he gets fed up with Dougie keep mentioning his folks and wanting to tell them and explain to him what happens, he says, I wish your folks were gone, or dead. I wish your folks were dead, or something. And the Claw does the same thing again. And so Dougie freaks out and thinks, oh my god, you just killed my parents. And and he's like, okay, we gotta do something. We gotta get rid of this or something. And they're fighting over what to do with the Claw. And, Dougie's trying to figure out how to fix this. And Kevin doesn't want them to fix it. And, or doesn't want them to get rid of the Claw. They need it, or at least to, make a wish to make it all go away. And then Dougie, who is reminiscing about his grandfather, how they had a very close relationship, and he could always help him, he actually wishes his grandfather, who's already dead, if he would come back. So all of a sudden, they heard the honk of a horn. I forgot to mention, he also gets a phone call saying something's happened to his parents. And when he wishes for and he all of a sudden hears a honking of a car, and Kevin realizes that he might have brought his grandpa back from the dead. And he's panicking. They're fighting over the Claw and everything, and Kevin is like I said, Kevin wants it all to go away. He wants to just take the easy way. And Dougie realizes he has realized what he has to do. So he makes a wish and apologizes a wish where he says he wished it never happened, and he's sorry he did that to Miss Clove. And then all of a sudden, just as he's thinking all hope is lost, his parents walk in the door. And a little upset because they forgot their keys, and they had a near-death experience, almost got hit by a car, like a truck or something, and they look out to see if the car of his grandfather is coming up the driveway, and it's not. The medal is gone. The medal that, Kevin won is gone. And then someone rings the doorbell, and they open it and receive a little message with a vase. The fixed vase, and a little message that says, trick or treat. And the episode ends with hearing the cackle of an old witch in the night. So this is kind of a fun one, this was a fun episode, it was very much, it reminded me of one of those episodes where there is, a fun way to kind of teach you how it's wrong to, that sometimes pranks are not nice, and sometimes someone might pay you back for it. Like, and how, like, you can't always, just because you get what you want doesn't mean there's not a price. Not the I thought the characters were cool. I didn't have any strong, like, there wasn't, like, even with Kevin, I was not extremely annoyed by him. In this case, I wasn't bothered by his attitude, he wasn't, it wasn't like he was trying to get, like, he was still a good friend to Dougie, even, actually, no, he wasn't, because he wished Dougie's parents were gone, that they were dead or something. But it wasn't like he was calling, saying Dougie's a snitch, or like, calling Dougie a chicken, or, he wasn't mean to him until he, made that wish. But at the end of the day, that was also an accident. He never meant to make that wish. He was just getting annoyed and accidentally said, I wish your folks were gone. And it kind of slipped out, and he, forgot that, wait a second, you make these wishes, and then they come true. And I kind of, I like the whole idea of the twisted claw, there's always, there's so many times you can make, so many different ways you can make a magical object grant you wishes that have a price tag to them. Like, you could come up with any object. And at the time, there had never been the idea of a claw, of an animal claw being, a wish-granting device, There's always the lamps and mirrors, and I'm trying to think of what other enchanted, you can come up with any enchanted object, and it can make you, it can give you a wish. And a lot of these episodes do have a moral message, but they're done in a way that's kind of fun and creepy, Because, of course, it's a kid's show originally, so it's got to be something that teaches you, has a moral message. Even if the episodes don't always have a happy ending, they still are kind of trying to teach you something. And kind of like fairy tales, especially the Grimm's Brothers fairy tales, they were, dark and not all the Disney-fied versions of fairy tales. They were a lot darker, but they were still kind of all about teaching you lessons, like, don't talk to strangers, always be kind, and, listen to your parents, and, just always be a good little boy or little girl, these episodes do the same thing. But, of course, they were updated for the 90s. But it's the same idea of, the Grimm's fairy tales. So, sorry, I don't have a lot to say about that one, but I did like it. Okay, so next I'm going to talk about train magic. This one was one where I did get frustrated with the older brother, the older sibling. This had a young, let me look, what is this? I looked it up. This one had a young, Gregory Smith from, what was that show? From the show Everwood. And I don't know if he did anything else. I think he did some teen stuff, teen movies of the 2000s. But the thing I know him from is Everwood, which I watched attempted to watch the first season. Oh, and he was also in I remember he did one of the Xenon, the first Xenon Disney Channel original movie, Xenon, Girl of the 21st Century. He was the love interest of Xenon. But so anyway, so this is the story of this is told by what is his name? Frank. This is told by Frank, and takes place, and it's a story about these two brothers. And Hank and Tim, and their dad died years ago, so it's just them and their mom. But Tim is kind of having a hard time dealing with the loss of their father. And the only way he can really deal with it is he hangs out at the train station where their father worked. He was a conductor, and he often talks to to Cap Anderson, one of the older guys that works at the train station, and he just spends all of his time playing with the trains in the basement. It's his one thing to deal with everything, his one consolation, his one comfort in life. But Hank is very worried about his younger brother because he feels like his younger brother needs to get out and socialize and not hide in the basement. He is very concerned about his brother and thinks he spends too much time in the basement playing with trains, and he needs to get some real friends and do things like play baseball and, So then, one day, Tim has a very strange encounter with this elderly man at the tracks behind his house. This older man, he knows Tim's name, and he knows Tim has an interest in trains. And just as he's about to give him he's about to offer the kid his watch, his timepiece. But all of a sudden, Hank shows up and stops, and he disappears, and the mysterious figure disappears. So our young Tim asks Cap, his friend Cap, what's the deal here? And Cap tells the story of a conductor, Ray Lawson, who after accidentally missing a message he causes his train in an accident, killing himself and the passengers. And Tim realizes he spoke to a ghost. And he is free. But Ray Lawson does not leave Tim alone. He even offers Tim a gift, a little train, a fake train, that Tim decides to put on his tracks and play with it because, of course, he can't help himself. He loves trains. And he finds himself transported into the ghostly world of the train that crashed, where he sees a lot of very quirky, interesting passengers. It looks like they're from the 1900s. You have, or like maybe the 1900s or the 40s. I can't tell, but there's people. They're clearly waiting for him. They've been waiting for someone to. They are waiting for him. They find him a new, exciting new passenger because they haven't seen him in a long time. And they're just sitting there, just going about their day, wishing that someone would come and they'd have one of the passengers is looking for someone to play a card game with. So Ray Lawson tries to get Tim to take his watch again. And for a moment, Tim is hypnotized by this. He is about to take hold of the watch, but then something jerks him out of the spell Ray Lawson has put him on, and he is able to return. And he finds a way to return. He finds a way to come back to reality, and he becomes obsessed with this whole situation. Of course, Hank doesn't believe him. He thinks he's kind of losing his mind a little bit. He's worried. He's still continuing to worry about his brother and causing Tim and Hank to have a big fight. Because Tim, of course, knows what's going on, but it's all real. But for Hank, who didn't see anything, didn't experience this, he is, concerned and thinks his brother probably needs to talk to someone. So then he explains to Cap. He tells Cap what happened, and Cap realizes that he was talking to the ghost of Ray Lawson, and he's concerned and afraid for Tim, and he talks to Ray Lawson. The ghost visits the ghost, and the ghost decides, you're not getting in the way. I'm going to take this kid, and he's going to replace me as a conductor. And so he hypnotizes Cap and pulls him into his train world and traps Cap there. And Tim finds and sees a small little figurine of Cap, and is absolutely worried for his friend and has to find a way to get into the train. And like I said, Hank does not believe him and is worried about him, but then Tim making it clear that he is perfectly serious, he's not crazy, and his Cap is in terrible danger. He convinces Hank to help him. Because he's like, if you're really worried about me, you would help me. And Tim finds himself transported back into the world of the train. And tries to get Cap out here, but Cap is still under the spell and he can't get out of here. And of course, Ray Lawson prevents him from not letting him make sure he cannot use the same trick twice, prevents him from doing the same thing he did last time to escape, and he's able to pull Tim in and have him replace Tim. Tim replace him as conductor. Because clearly this guy is pissed off and wants to be free, and he will take this 13-year-old kid, if he has to, down with him. But of course, this is one of the episodes that has a happy ending. Or, well, kind of bittersweet. Bittersweet, actually. Because he ends up breaking free and realizing, with help from Cap, a little push from Cap, who still has enough self-control that he can interact with Tim a little bit and try to give him little hints, because he's still fighting to escape the spell that Ray Lawson has him under, or the train, or whatever. I don't know, but I mean, that's the fun of this episode. You don't know. Sometimes that would make it more intriguing, is the mystery of them all. So he tells him, and Tim reminds him that this is not his train. This is Ray Lawson's train. And he needs to stop this once and for all. He needs to make sure Ray Lawson can't do this to anyone else ever again. And he escapes and defeats Ray Lawson, making him once again be the conductor of his own train and repeat history. Now, I say this is a bittersweet ending because you kind of feel bad for Ray Lawson, because by the end of it, Ray Lawson doesn't have anything anymore. He has nothing left. All he was a conductor. All he had was his train and the passengers and his job as a conductor. And it's just kind of feel bad for him. I mean, it probably ruins it for a lot of people, his whole kidnapping this kid and holding him hostage and letting him die on this train. But, so yeah, I think that kind of takes away any pity. But there is a small slither of pity from me by the end of this episode, because I think the problem is Ray Lawson just made a mistake, and a mistake that cost him and a lot of people their lives. But sometimes the people screw up in that big of a way. It's like, and they don't do it on purpose. And I'm not saying he shouldn't he definitely should receive consequences, but he's been suffering on that train for centuries or decades. I don't know how long, what year. I cannot remember what year it was. I think they probably do reveal the year that Ray Lawson Ray Lawson died. But I don't remember what it was at the moment. Like I said, I haven't been watching these, but last night I was inspired to rewatch these episodes. But yeah, that one, I really liked that one. I like the idea of this mysterious train magic, and the idea of, I love most of the ghost stories I love. They're all just very fun, and they're also kind of sad. You pity the person, the ghost. And like I said, I don't excuse Ray Lawson's behavior. He murdered a kid. He was going to murder a kid. But you kind of pity him. And I think you can pity, and I personally believe you can pity someone and not agree with their actions. And still a party you can think, and, still be like, they do deserve consequences. They deserve to be punished. I don't think pity is not excusing the behavior of someone. It's kind of being like, it's more like you feel sorry for them, and you're like, I wish I could help you, and I don't like what you've done. I mean, I think pity is a lot worse than sympathy, because you just look at that person as kind of pathetic. That's what, to me, pity is, when you're just looking at this person and you wish they had not screwed up in such a big way, but you also kind of, it's like, you're like, you could have been better. You could have done better, but you didn't. And I feel sad for you. So I don't think, to me, pity is not an excuse. It's just, you kind of feel sad for that person. But yeah, the concept was really cool, and I love Tim's train set. I thought that was so cool. That was fun. I don't know, I liked, like, you know how sometimes at bookstores they would have those train sets in the back, or in toy stores they would have the whole train track set up, but then maybe little pieces of a village, and then they have these trains. I like those, particularly not the wooden ones or the Thomas the Tank Engine ones, but the old-fashioned looking ones. I really like them. I always wanted to play with them. Even as I got a little bit too old to play with that kind of stuff, I always kind of liked playing with them a little bit, you know? Like the bookstore near, back in Maryland, it used to have one of those in the kids section. But it was like one of those wooden, Thomas the Tank Engine type ones. And there's a, a thrift toy store that my sister takes, or kids clothing store that my sister takes her kids to buy some of their clothes, and or like to, actually, no, I don't know if she I think she does buy some clothes, but she also donates too. And they have a little train set. It's not a big one, or super fancy, but it's still kind of cool. And her youngest, the little girl, the little Charlie girl, sometimes she'll play with it, and I'll watch her play with it. Sometimes play with her a little bit if I'm there. So anyway, it's a good episode. I really like the whole idea of train magic, and it's always cool to see some of the actors that when they were kids that have gone on to do other things as adults. Like, what is his name? What is his name? I can't think of it. He's the guy from The Notebook, and he was all in La La Land. That I can't think of the actor's name. But that actor was in the Tale of the Station of 109. And he's also done a couple of Goosebumps episodes too. So it's kind of cool to see him, in some of the Are You Afraid of the Dark and Goosebumps stuff. And I believe he was also part of the Mickey Mouse Club. But anyway, so both of them were really great, really fun. I think, like I said, the Twisted Claw does take place around Halloween time. Part of it does, so I think it's a great episode to watch during Halloween. The Train Magic, watch whenever you want, but I don't have a specific time I would recommend that one. But anyway, so I hope you liked these reviews, and if you liked it, then please give it a thumbs up. Click subscribe if you haven't already. Click the bell notification below if you want to see when I post new videos. And I will talk to y'all later. All right, bye.